All right, this is the Monday and Tuesday at home homework, which is page 175, 9 to 15 odds, and we're going to be doing rational functions. And this will be due Wednesday, Thursday. You're going to have a test over 2-4 through 2-6 on Monday and Tuesday and next week, November 2nd and 3rd. So you're going to want to copy down all of this stuff I have over here on the right into your notes, because this is the shortcut on how to find all these answers. And I'm going to do these 4 odd and your homework are these 4 even and your homework's those 4 odd. So vertical asymptotes occur when the denominator is 0. So if you look at this denominator here, you're supposed to set that denominator equal to 0 and ignore all this and solve it. This is already factored form. So there's x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 2. So you only need to take one of those and set it equal to 0 and add that over. So this has a vertical asymptote at x equals 2. Coming down here to number 12. Again, you're going to take the denominator and set it equal to 0. And you're going to solve this by subtracting 3 and then dividing by 2. So your vertical asymptote would be -3/2 for this one. And you need x equals in there. This next one, the denominator is x plus 2. So you're going to take x plus 2. Set it equal to 0, and you subtract 2. So this vertical asymptote is x equals -2. And then the last one is a quadratic. So we're going to do this quadratic and set this quadratic equal to 0. And then we're going to make our t-chart. I take 1 times 3 and get 3, and I get 1 here, and we got some bad news. And the bad news is there are no factors of 3 that'll add up to 1. So we have to use the quadratic formula on this one. So when I do the quadratic formula, which is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, I'm going to plug these in. So I get -1, because b is this one, plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, which is 2 times 1. So I get -1 plus or minus, then in the square root, you get 1 minus 12. I can stop there because 1 minus 12 is -11 in a radical, which is imaginary, which tells me there are no vertical asymptotes on this one, because there's no way to make the bottom 0. And then on the horizontal asymptotes, that's these things down here. So 3 rules for horizontal asymptote. I'm going to erase what I got on there. The 3 rules for horizontal asymptote are: if the numerator is biggest in the exponent, if the biggest exponent is greater than the biggest denominator's exponent. So up here, this one has x to the 0, because that's what 1 is. This has x to the first, x to the first, so they're equal. This one is bigger than that one. This one is bigger, so that's the first rule, rule number 1. And then down here, these are equal. So on rule number 1, it says, wait a minute, the numerator is, okay, I wrote this wrong. This should be the other way. If the biggest exponent is in the denominator, so this should not be less than, this should be less than. So this is not rule number 1. Rule number 1 is this one. The biggest exponent is less than the biggest exponent in the top is less than the biggest exponent in the bottom. So this is the answer to number 1 or number 10. So this would be y equals 0. Then the next one says that the biggest in the top is equal to the biggest in the bottom. So that's this one and this one. When they're the biggest is equal, you use their coefficients. So it's going to be y equals, and the coefficient of the biggest exponent in the top is -7, and the biggest exponent, the coefficient of the biggest exponent that's equal on the bottom is 2, so that's your answer. When you do number, this one's 16, you see these both have x squared, so that's -4 over 1. So this one down here is y equals -4. And then this one is this last one. If the biggest exponent's on top, then there is no horizontal asymptote. This stands for does not exist. So since 2 is bigger than 1, this one has no horizontal asymptote, or you could write does not exist. So that's how you do the first page. I will see you at the next class.